right ලියා ගන්න පුතේ නම් topic එක properties of solid matter used for different purposes properties of solid matter used for different purposes properties of solid matter used for different purposes. Right. Now, did you write this topic?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Right. Under this topic, firstly, we are going to learn about the first characteristics of the solid we have to learn. What is this? Hardness. Hardness. What is the hardness? Can you tell what is the hardness?
Daddy power.
Hardness. Daddy power. මේ hardness කියන එකට අපි පුතේ සිංහලෙන් කියන්නේ daddy බව. ඒ කියන්නේ සාමාන්‍ය අපි solid එකක් ගත්තොත් එහෙම පුතේ මේ solid ගොඩාක් solid අපි කියන hard කියලා. hard කියන එකෙන් අදහස් කරන්නේ මේක අපට ලේසියෙන් cut කරන්න බෑ පුතේ. කියන්නේ ලේසියෙන් කපන්න බෑ. ලේසියෙන් ඉරන්න බෑ. ලේසියෙන් හූරන්න බෑ. මෙන්න මේ property එකට තමයි අපි කියන්නේ hardness කියලා කියන්නේ. නේද hardness එක වැඩි එකක් ගත්තොත් ඒක කපන්න බෑ ලේසියෙන් පුතේ. ඉරන්න බෑ ලේසියෙන්. හූරන්න බෑ. නේද මෙන්න මේ property එකට අපි කියනවා මොකක් කියලාද කියන්නේ hardness. බලන්නකෝ මොකක්ද hardness කියලා කියන්නේ? The property of resistance to scratch, abrasion and cutting is known as hardness. So what is the property? Property කියන්නේ ලක්ෂණ. The property of resistance. Can you tell what is the resistance? What is the resistance?
යමකට බාධා කරන
resistance අපි එක හරි පුතේ මෙතනදී නැත්නම් අපි කියන ප්‍රතිරෝධී කියලා කියන්නේ. නේද resistance කියන්නේ ප්‍රතිරෝධී. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒකට විරුද්ධව වැඩ කරනවා, බාධා කරනවා තමයි. නේද බලන්නකෝ the property of resistance to scratch. What is the scratch? Scratch හූරනවා. නේද හූරන්න ප්‍රතික්‍රියා හූරන්න අපහසුයි කියන එක. abrasion නේද ගෙවෙන්න අපහසුයි. and cutting කැපීමට අපහසුයි. මෙන්න මේ property එකට තමයි පුතේ අපි කියන්නේ මොකක් කියලාද? hardness කියලා කියන්නේ. Right. Now we have learned about one characteristics of the solid matter. Right. This is hardness. Right. What is the hardness? The property of resistance to scratch, abrasion and cutting is known as hardness. Right now think about next one. Hardness differ depending on materials. Hardness differ. ඒ කියන්නේ පුතේ අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම සෑම material එකක්ම ගත්තොත් එහෙම එක වගේ hardness එකක් තියෙනවා. materials සියල්ලම ගත්තොත් එක වගේ hardness එකක් තියෙනවා. Right now think about I take the iron. Here I take the iron. Right. Then I take the aluminium. Aluminium. Both are the solid, no? Both are the solid. May they become a solid. But now when we consider about the hardness of iron and hardness of the aluminium, is it same or different?
different.
Is it different? No. The hardness of the iron and the hardness of the aluminium is different. Right. The hardness different is depend on the material. Hardness difference එක රඳා පවතින්නේ මොකක් මතද පුතේ? material එක මත. iron වල hardness එක නෙවෙයි aluminium වල hardness එක. මේක එකිනෙකට මොකක් වෙන්නවද පුතේ? එකිනෙකට වෙනස් වෙනවා. hardness differ එක මොකක්ද වෙන්නේ? එකිනෙකට වෙනස්. මේ බලන්න. Hardness differs depending on materials. Depending කියලා කියන්නේ පුතේ මොකක්ද? රඳා පවතිනවා. Hardness differ. hardness එකේ දැඩි භාවයේ වෙනස රඳා පවතින්නේ මොකක් මතද පුතේ? On materials. Right now we have learned about 2 points about the hardness. The first one we have learned is the property of resistance to scratch, abrasion and cutting is known as hardness. And then we have learned about hardness differs depending on materials. Hardness differs depending on materials. Right, next one. Right, then we are going to learn about high hard substances. Can you tell what are the high hard substances as you think? What are the high hard substances?
Diamond.
A diamond, method called diamond. Diamond is the high hard substances. It is correct. What else?
Iron.
Iron. තව ගන්න පුළුවන්. Right. One example is the diamond, no? Right. Another example is iron. Right. Normally, diamond and iron can be considered as the substances with a high hardness. Substances with a high hardness. Right now, we have learned about the hardness. Here we have learned about the property of resistance to scratch, abrasion and cutting is known as hardness. After that, we have learned about hardness differs depending on materials. Finally, we have learned about high hard substances are diamond and iron. Right, then I will give chance to you write this. If not, what is the hardness? Right now you can write down this. Right,
Excuse me, sir.
yes.
What about rocks? Are they hardness?
Yeah, now when we consider about the method rocks mainly there are different types of rocks are there. The hardness of the rocks also depend on the types of the rocks. Could you understand?
Yes, sir.
Right, okay, now when we consider about the granite is a rocks with a high hardness, no? අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම දැන් සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපි කියන්නේ කළු ගල් ගත්තොත් එහෙම නේද rocks වර්ග ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. එතකොට ඒ වගේ hardness එක rocks වර්ගය අනුව වෙනස් වෙනවා. සමහර rocks වර්ග තියෙනවා hardness එක ගොඩක් වෙන්නේ. නේද සමහර ඒවා තියෙනවා hardness එක අඩුයි. නේද රොයක ටිකක් solid එකක් නේ. එතකොට මේ වගේ hardness එක rocks වර්ගය අනුව වෙනස් වෙනවා. rocks වර්ග ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. ඒ
Okay.
වර්ගය අනුව වෙනස්. Right. Now do you want more times? Are you finished?
I have finished, sir.
Right, okay. Others, are you finished?
Yes, sir, I am done my work.
Right, okay, very good. Other? Right, okay. Right. Now we have learned about the hardness. Then we are going to learn about our next characteristics of the solid. What is that? Can you guess? Can you guess? Next character.
Malleability.
You told malleability. No, right. You are correct. Now we are going to learn about the malleability. Can you tell what is the malleability as you think? What is the malleability? මොකද්ද පුතේ malleability කියලා කියන්නේ? Right. Now think about. Firstly, I take some pieces of metal. Some pieces of metal. This is the pieces of metal. Right. If we can hammer by using the hammer. If not, if we can hammer it by using the hammer like that. By using the hammer like that. Right. We can hammer it. Then maybe hammer hammering. By hammering, this metal plate can be converted into the sheet. This metal we have converted into the thin sheet. By hammering. By hammering. නේද මේ විදියට තිබුණ metal එක පුතේ මේ විදියට තුනී තහඩුවක් බවට පත් කරේ මොකක් මගින්ද? මොකක් මගින්ද මේක බවට පත් කරේ? By hammering. By hammering. Right. This property of metal is known as malleability. This property of metal is known as malleability. So what is the malleability? Right, now think about what is the malleability. Right, this is the malleability, meaning of the malleability. Right, now look at here. What is the malleability? Right, the ability of a metal. Metal එක තියෙන හැකියාව පුතේ. Ability කියලා කියන්නේ හැකියාව. The ability of a metal to be drawn into thin sheet. Right, the ability of a metal to be drawn into thin sheet. Right, special things is without breaking. Right, now look at here. Metal can be converted, if not ability of a metal to be drawn into a thin sheet without breaking by hammering or rolling. You must keep remember some pieces of metal can be converted into thin sheet by two methods. What are they? Can you tell? One of them is by hammering. Another one is by rolling. No, without breaking, by hammering or rolling is known as malleability. Now we have learned about what is the malleability. What is the malleability? The ability of a metal to be drawn into thin sheet without breaking by hammering or rolling is known as malleability. Right, tell me, could you understand what is the malleability? Could you understand what is the malleability? Right, okay. Then you can write down topic as malleability, and then you can write down what is meant by malleability, and then we will go to our next topic. Right now you can start to write this. Write down topic as malleability, and then you can write down what is meant by malleability.
Yes, sir, I have finished my writing.
Right, okay, then we will go to next one. Right, following substances are malleable. Right, now we are going to learn about what are the substances that saw the property of the malleability. කියන්නේ මේ malleability කියන property එක පෙන්වන දේවල් මොනවද කියලා අපි කතා කරන්නේ. Can you tell? What are the substances that saw the malleability?
Sir, golden.
Gold, very good. Gold. What else? Gold is the substances that saw the malleability. What are they? What are the other examples for the malleability?
Copper.
Copper, aluminium, iron. No, those are the substances which saw the malleability. තව තියෙනවා ගොඩක් දේවල් තියෙනවා. නේද? මේ වගේ malleable දැන් gold වල තියෙන malleability එක නිසා තමයි මොනවා කරන්න පුළුවන් පුතේ. ඒ වගේ එක එක ආභරණ වර්ග හදන්න පුළුවන් නේ. ඕන විදියට තරලා හදා ගන්න පුළුවන්. Right. Okay, now we have learned about what is the malleability. The malleability means the ability of a metal to be drawn into thin sheet without breaking by hammering or rolling is known as malleability. After that, we have learned about following substances are malleable. Gold, aluminium, copper, and iron are the substances with the malleability. Right, now you can write down this point and example. Start to write.
Yes, sir.
Right, okay. Others, are you finished? Now we have learned about two properties of the matter. No, the first one we have learned is hardness, and then now we have learned about the malleability. Right, then we are going to learn about our next characteristics of the organism. What is this? Right, this is ductility. Ductility. Now we are going to learn about the ductility. What is the ductility as you think? What is the ductility?
Ability of a metal to be drawn into thin wires without breaking is called ductility.
Very good, Achana. Very good. Right, now think about, now we are going to learn about the ductility. What is the ductility? Right. In the previous times also have a metals like that. Metals, right? This is the metal. Right. මේ metal එක අපිට පුළුවන් පුතේ මෙන්න දෙපැත්තටම මොනවා කරලා force එකක් දෙපැත්තට යොදලා මේක මොනවා කරන්න පුළුවන්. This is the metal. thin wire එකක් බවට පත් කරන්න පුළුවන් නේ. This metal can be converted into the thin wire. Thin wire. This property of metal is known as ductility. Ductility. If not, the ability of a metal to be drawn into a thin wire without breaking, no? What is the ductility? The ability of a metal to be drawn into a thin wire without breaking is known as ductility. That is also properties of a metal. මේකත් පුතේ metal එකක ලක්ෂණය. නේද? කැඩෙන්නේ නැහැ. අදින්න පුළුවන් නම් metal එකක් බව. නේද? දැන් මේකේ තියෙන විශේෂ දෙයක් දැන්. හිතන්න පුළුවන් දැන් අපි ගත්තොත් rubber එකක් ගත්තොත් එහෙම. මෙන්න බලන්න මේ දෙක අතර තියෙන වෙනස. rubber එකකුත් අපිට මෙහෙම අදින්න පුළුවන් නේ. හැබැයි rubber එක මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? ඒකට අපි කියන්නේ flexibility කියලා. කියන්නේ අපි ඉස්සරහට කතා කරනවා. එතෙන්දි වෙන්නේ අපි මේ බලය අතහැරියට පස්සේ ආයෙ මේක original position එකට එනවා. හැබැයි මෙතෙන්දි මේක අපි ඇදලා මෙහෙම මොකද්ද වයර් එකක් බවට පත් කරොත් ආයෙ ඇතෑරිය කියලා ආයෙක මෙටල් එකක් බවට පත් වෙනවද?
No, sir.
No, it is not again become into the metal. Right? Okay, that property of metal is known as ductility. Ductility. Now we have learned about what is mean by ductility. Right? Now look at here. Let's go to learn what is the ductility. The ability of a metal. Now you know what is the ability of a metal. The ability of a metal to be drawn into thin wires. The ability of a metal to be drawn into thin wire. Metal එකක් අදිනවා wire එකක් බවට. හැබැයි කොහොමද පුතේ? Without breaking. Without breaking, you must keep remember it. Without breaking is called ductility. Without breaking is called ductility. Right, now we have learned about what is the ductility. What is the ductility? The ability of a metal to be drawn into thin wire without breaking is called ductility. Without breaking is called ductility. Right now, right, okay, then we will go to next one. What is the next one? The following substances are, sorry, මෙතන තියෙන්නේ malleable කියලා. Malleable නෙවෙයි ඒක මොකක්ද වෙන්න ඕනේ පුතේ? Following substances are ductile. මේ malleable වෙනකොට ඔයාලා කියන්න ඕනේ ductile කියලා ඈ. එතන පොඩි mistake එකක් තියෙනවා. බලන්න මොනවද කියලා. Gold, aluminium, copper, iron. මෙන්න මේවා තමයි මොනවද පුතේ? Ductility එක පෙන්වන දේවල්. ඒ කියන්නේ අර malleability එක පෙන්නපු දේවල්ම තමයි ductility එක පෙන්වන්නේ නේ. ඔව්. මේ දෙවගොල්ලම මේ වර්ග දෙකම metals නේ පුතේ. මේවා මේ metals වල ලක්ෂණ වෙනවා එක පැත්තකින්. ඔයාලට ඉස්සරහට ලොකු පන්ති වලට ගියාට පස්සේ ඒක ඉගෙන ගන්න පුළුවන්. Malleability, ductility කියලා කියන්නේ metal වල ලක්ෂණ. Right, now we have learned about what is the ductility. Now you can write down topic as ductility and then you can write down firstly what is mean by ductility and then you can write down the substances which saw the ductility. Right, start to write this. I will give 5 minutes.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Do we have an online test today?
Yes, today you have online test at the end of the class.
Okay, sir.
8:30 p.m. Right, okay. There are 25 questions. Right, it contains questions in the unit 1 and unit 2.
Yes, sir.
Right, others, Achana, have you finished writing? Do you want more times?
I have finished, sir.
Right, Nishini, have you
Yes,
finished?
Yes,
Right, Right, okay. Now we have learned about three characteristics of the solid matter, no? The first one we have learned is hardness. After the hardness, we have learned about malleability. After the malleability, we have learned about the ductility. Ductility, right? Okay, then we will go to our next characteristics of the matter. What is the next one?
Elastic
The
nature.
next one we have the very good method, the elastic nature. Elastic nature. What is the elastic nature? What is the elastic nature?
The
The property of increasing the length of a material by a force of stretch.
Right. All are the correct. Like property of the right. Right. The examples for the materials with the elastic nature is elastic, if not rubber band. Right now, think about rubber band. When force is applied onto the rubber band, its length can be increased. No, its length can be increased by applying a force. By applying a force, the if not elastic or rubber band, its length can be increased. But when release the force, what will happen? When release the force, it's come into its original position. No, it's come into its original position. Right. This property is known as elastic nature. Elastic nature. So what is the elastic nature? Again, think about what is the elastic nature. Right now, think about there is some elastic. Some elastic. Right. When force is applied onto this elastic, what will happen? When force is applied, its length is increased. Its length is increased when force is applied. And also when release the force, again it come into its original position. Its original position. Force එකක් දෙනකොට මේක length එක වැඩි වෙනවා. හැබැයි force එක නැවත අයින් කරාම මොකක්ද වෙන්නේ? මේක නැවත යාගේ original position එකට එනවා. මේක යාගේ original position එකට එනවා. Right, that property of the solid matter is known as elastic nature. Right, okay, then we will go to learn further things about the elastic nature. Elastic nature. Right, what is the elastic nature? Look at here. The property of increase in the length. The property of increase in the length. The property of increase in the length of a material by a force of stretch. Force of stretch කියන්නේ ඇදීමේ බලයක්. ඇදීමේ බලයක් මගින් material එක length එක වැඩි වීමේ property එකට තමයි අපි කියන්නේ මොකක් කියලාද පුතේ? Elastic nature. Elastic nature. Right now we have learned about elastic nature. What is the elastic nature? The property of increase in the length. The property of increase in the length of a material by a force of stretch. Force of stretch. So what are the examples? What are the examples for the materials with elastic nature?
Rubber band.
A rubber band. One of them is rubber. Can you tell another example?
Gloves.
Elastic.
Gloves, rubber band, elastic. Those are some examples, no? Those are some examples. The materials with elastic nature. The materials with elastic nature. Right now, you can write down topic as elastic nature, and then you can write down what is mean by elastic nature, and then finally you can write down what are the examples for elastic nature. Right? So we start right. Right. Let's go to our next one. What is the next one? Next property is brittleness. What is the brittleness? What is the brittleness?
Tendency of a material to break under a small force.
Very good. Right. Now think about, right, this is some material. Right. Now think about, this is the glass. Glass. What will happen when hammering to the glass? What will happen? The glass is breaking down into small particles, no? After hammering, This glass is breaking down into small particles. That property is known as brittleness. That property is known as brittleness. If some materials breaking down into small particles when hammering. Now think about pieces of the coconut shells, pieces of the charcoals, pieces of the glass. Right? When hammering on the pieces of glass, what will happen? It is breaking down into small particles. It is breaking down into small particles. Right? That property of the solid matter is known as brittleness. That property of solid matter is known as brittleness. Right? Okay, let's go to learn further things about the brittleness. What is the brittleness? Right? Now look at here. What is the brittleness? Tendency of a material to break down under a small force. Tendency of a material to break under a small force. Right? That property of material is known as brittleness. Right? What are the examples? The materials with a brittleness, can you tell?
Coal.
Coals. What else? Glass. Coals. මේ වගේ තවරන coconut shells, coal නේද, charcoal අපිට ගොඩක් දේවල් ගන්න පුළුවන්. නේද? මොකක් හරි පොඩි බලයක් දුන්නාට පස්සේ කැඩිලා කුඩු වෙලා යනවා නම් මෙන්න මේ property එකට අපි කියනවා brittleness කියලා. Right? Now you can write down topic as brittleness, and then you can write down what is mean by brittleness, and then you can write down two materials with the brittleness. Right? You start to write this. Right, finished?
Yes, I am done.
Done, all right. Others, are you finished?
Yes, sir.
Right, okay. Then we will go to our next one. What is the next one?
Texture.
Last one. අවසානක නේද අපි texture කියන එකට අපි සිංහලෙන් කියන්නේ පුතේ වයනේ කියලා. ඒ කියන්නේ මොකද? feel of surface. කියන ඕනම මතු පිටක් අපි ස්පර්ශ කරාට පස්සේ අපට දැනෙන විදිය. මේ දෙක දැනෙන්න පුළුවන් ආකාර දෙකයි මොකක්ද? එකක්
Rough.
තමයි rough අනිත් එක මොකද්ද? smooth. rough or smooth. rough or smooth බලන්නකො. feel of surface. feel of surface. rough or smooth. මේකට තමයි අපි කියන්නේ මොකක් කියලාද කියන්නේ? texture. බලන්නකො baby talc cotton වගේ දේවල් ගත්තොත් මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? මේකට තියෙන්නේ smooth texture එකක්. නැත්නම් අපි කියනවා soft කියලා කියනවා. sandpaper, what is the sandpaper?
වැලි කඩදාසි.
වැලි කඩදාසි නේද? ඒකට තියෙන්නේ මොන texture එකක්ද පුතේ?
Rough.
rough texture එකක් තියෙන. it has a rough texture right. ඉක්මනට ලියා ගන්න. ඔන්න එතකොට මේ පාඩම සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම ඉවර වෙනවා. මම අද තුන්වෙනි පාඩම පටන් ගන්නෙ නැහැ. හැම පාඩමක්ම අවසානයේදී අපි ප්‍රශ්න ටිකක් කරනවා. ඒ පාඩමට අදාළව. right. අපි මේක ඉවර කරලා අපි යමු ප්‍රශ්න ටිකකට යමු.